Rumors are swirling that 50 Cent may have been orchestrating Lil Meech's downfall all along, and the streets are buzzing with theories that his exit from the BMF crew was no accident, but a move that played perfectly into 50's silent master plan, especially after Big Meech's release flipped the power dynamics in ways no one saw coming. Now, let's get right into the madness. First off, let's just say this straight. When it comes to drama, betrayal, and cold, calculated moves in the entertainment industry, nobody plays chess like Curtis 50 Cent Jackson. The man who turned street legend stories into primetime television might just be writing a new script in real life. And this one could have real consequences. According to sources in the streets and whispers floating around industry circles, it's looking more and more like 50 had been setting Lil Meech up for a fallaway before anybody noticed. This ain't just talk. There's a timeline, a pattern, and a trail of events that make you wonder if this was all a part of some long game from the very beginning. Let's rewind for a minute. Back when 50 Cent launched the BMF series, he made it clear he wanted to do justice to Big Meech's story. He positioned himself as the man who was going to bring the legacy of the Black Mafia family to the screen, unfiltered and raw. And what better way to do it than to cast Big Meech's own son, Lil Meech, in the lead role? It was the ultimate nod to authenticity, keeping it in the family, letting the legacy live on through blood. But what if that move wasn't just about honoring the family legacy? What if it was about control? See, once 50 brought Lil Meech into the spotlight, he basically created him as a star. Before BMF, Lil Meech was known in certain circles, but after the show, whole different level. That show gave him visibility, access, and most importantly, power. But here's the thing about 50. He doesn't like to share power, especially not with someone who could eventually challenge his narrative. That's where the theory starts to heat up. Now, let's talk about Big Meech's release. That moment sent shockwaves through the streets and the entertainment industry alike. The real Kingpin was back, and people started watching Lil Meech differently, especially when rumors started to surface that he was no longer moving the way 50 Cent wanted. Folks started noticing the distance, the lack of joint appearances, the sudden tension, and how Lil Meech carried himself. Word on the block is that once Big Meech was back in the picture, Lil Meech started to realign himself. Not with 50's vision, but with his father's legacy and real-life connections. That right there might have been the final straw. 50 Cent has never been shy about cutting people off or flipping the script. Look at his past with G-Unit. Look at how he's handled everyone from Young Buck to Game. When someone steps out of line or stops playing their role, 50 doesn't just push them out, he buries them in silence or controversy. So when people started noticing that Lil Meech was getting less and less promotion, less buzz around his name, and even some shady legal heat that almost tanked his image, well, folks started putting two and two together. Was this just coincidence? Or was it a quiet campaign to discredit him? Let's not forget that bizarre situation where Lil Meech got arrested for alleged fraud involving a high-end watch. That story came and went fast, but the damage was done. His clean image was cracked, and he had to fight to get his name back. And guess who wasn't publicly standing by him during that drama? 50. No loud support, no public defense, just silence. And silence speaks volumes when it comes from a man who built his whole brand on being loud. And then there's the recent rumor that Lil Meech was quietly pushed out of future BMF-related projects. Not fired outright, but eased out, his presence being slowly minimized. Some even claim 50 Cent had already lined up a new storyline, new faces, and a new direction for the BMF franchise that didn't involve Lil Meech at all. If that's true, then this wasn't some heat-of-the-moment fallout. This was premeditated, calculated, surgical. People close to the situation have also started whispering that Lil Meech saw it coming. That's why he started making moves on his own. Switching up his circle, reconnected with folks outside 50's influence, and trying to reclaim his image on his own terms. Some say that's why 50 had to move quickly, because once Big Meech was out, Lil Meech wasn't going to be loyal to the power empire anymore. He was going to build his own. There's even talk that 50's been feeding information to folks behind the scenes to paint Lil Meech as unreliable, hard to work with, and a liability. It's the oldest trick in the book. Control the narrative before someone else does. And with 50 Cent's influence in Hollywood, he doesn't even have to say much publicly. A couple of cold shoulders and a few quiet phone calls can do way more damage than a diss track ever could. And this whole time, 50 Cent has remained absolutely silent. No posts, no denials, no defense. That's the part that has people really talking. Because we know 50. We know he loves to address rumors, troll people online, stir the pot. But when it comes to Lil Meech, nothing, just a blank space. And in this world, silence could be louder than a scream. Now, let's think about the long-term play. If 50 wanted total control of the BMF narrative, removing Lil Meech from the spotlight might have been a necessary move. With Big Meech out, the story can shift back to the origin, the roots, the version of BMF that 50 can script without dealing with a new generation trying to rewrite the past. It's cleaner, simpler, and way more profitable. Plus, without Lil Meech in the way, 50 can introduce new characters, new talent, and lock in more seasons without the politics. But here's the catch. The streets are watching. People know authenticity when they see it, and they also know when someone's being played. Fans of the show are already starting to ask why Lil Meech's presence seems to be fading. His social media is quieter. His connection to the